Mr. Jesse Peterson, author of multiple books. You beat the odds for sure. You get tons and tons of views, viral videos, documentary, all kinds of attention for your political views. Thank you for your time, and I know you're a busy guy.
Thanks for having me on, Tommy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you get all these views and your videos go viral, but what everybody might not know is you grew up with 6 brothers, 7 sisters, or the opposite, in a plantation in Alabama.
Yeah.
What was that
Absolutely.
like growing up, man?
It was fun. I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama there, and at the time Jim Crow law existed, but we didn't pay that much attention at all because at the time, we were free to do whatever we want. The family was intact, and they taught us to work and to treat people the way we would like to be treated. And they knew that it was a spiritual battle. It had nothing to do with color. It was good and evil. And there were good people and bad people in all races. And so we were taught to treat people the way we would like to be treated. They taught us to, when we become an adult, we would have to leave home and take care of ourselves. I remember that my grandparents used to always tell me, when you turn 18, you're out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where am I going? And they're like, I don't know. I don't care, but you're out of here. And when I turned 18, I left home and went to Indiana, got a job for 2 weeks, made just enough money to come to LA. Because at that time, it cost like $50 to fly one way. And so
those were the days, man.
I know. And so I moved to LA, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I was the same way. Even at my I'm as Italian as it gets. So you can imagine my grandfather. So at 5 a.m., so if you want a $5 allowance, you better be up at 5 a.m. delivering papers. You better have that lemonade stand or nothing. And at 18, you better figure something out, kid. I don't care what your mom says. Which we've lost a lot of that today. I was watching one of your clips, and in it, you had been talking about how we give all this support to single mothers. And we didn't do that before. And I never thought about it until I watched your clip. But if you look at the divorce rate, it's like over 40%, if not higher. That has to play into it because it almost gives the woman an initiative that if the guy and the husband and wife, the mother of a child and father, they get in a fight, the mom 9 times out of 10, if they're married, is going to get alimony and didn't sign anything. They're going to get child support. So it's almost an initiative to leave. And I thought that was really interesting that you brought that up. And, we've had a lot of people where we've been talking about like the divorce rate's just out of this world. But I never thought of that. If you could elaborate on that, because I think that's a really interesting thing.
One of the worst things that ever happened is when our government started to take care of the woman, and they made her feel that she's better than the man and that she didn't need the man because they were going to become the father of the family. The government was. And it reminded me that prior to the so-called civil rights movement, the worst thing that ever happened to the blacks was the civil rights movement. Other than abortion, civil rights movement was worse than anything that's ever happened to black people. Because prior to the civil rights movement, black Americans were taking care of themselves. They didn't look to the government. The wife looked to the husband, and it was a family. And then the civil rights movement came up, and they told the blacks that, it's about racism, it's about this and that. And they said that we're going to fight for civil rights and all that. But what they did was they decided to break up the family by selling the blacks over to the Democratic Party. And the so-called civil rights leaders wanted to become the head of the blacks, of the people, because black people, for the most part, didn't have heads, nobody over them, except for God, Christ. And so they decided to go along with the younger blacks decided to go along with the civil rights movement for the most part. The older blacks were not for that. Most of the older black people were not for the civil rights movement. And so they agreed to go along with it. And they decided to allow the civil rights leaders to be the head of the black and they sold them over to the government. But they said to the blacks, you cannot have a father in the home. You
Really?
can't have a man in the home. And
Wow.
for whatever reason, some blacks agreed to that. And so the government became the daddy of the people, of the blacks, and the civil rights leaders became the head. And it has gotten to a point now where they're catered to the woman so much that she literally feels that she doesn't need a man anymore. She thinks she's better than a man. And due to her anger, she's on an ego trip anyway. But it's at a point now, she thinks that she doesn't need a man at all. And I just think it's going to take Jesus Christ to come back in person and unite the black man and the black woman together, because they have definitely destroyed the family. And unless we get that family back together, blacks don't have a chance to ever come back together. And now they're doing it to other women in society, not just the black woman, but the white woman, the Italian woman, the Mexican woman. They are appealing to her ego by telling her that she's equal to a man. And a woman can never be equal to a man. It's God and Christ, Christ and man, man over woman and woman over children. When you have a family, that's the only thing that's going to work. But when you turn the man away from the wife and the children, they go downhill, right down into hell, because women were not created to lead. They were created to follow. And they're trying to make these women be leaders when it never will work. And so we got to restore the order in order for things to start happening.
I can't believe it. Jesse, I had this guy. This will make you laugh. He used to hound me about a couple $100 all the time. So I call him one day to work the board as an engineer. He knew to the Jesse. I called him. Now I'm an Italian and I grew up like you did, just in the my families, if they sliced each other with a knife, they would never get divorced. They just stayed together forever, no matter what. That's how it was when I grew up. Yeah. I call this guy and he says, I'm cooking a crock pot. Now, to me, that's some foreign shit to me, because as far as I know, and from the beginning of time, what happened back in the beginning of time? Guy goes out, kills a tiger, whatever. I mean, forever. Comes back, he's the alpha. The woman takes care of the kid, the house, cooks, everything. Yeah. Now the government stepped in, like you alluded to, the civil rights thing, and took all that away. And then you wonder why, Jesse, there's all these mental health issues, anxiety issue. Well, if you don't got a dad there to go to say, hey, knock it off, man up. My grandpa used to grab his belt like this, and I'd be like, oh boy, that's it. I'm in trouble. Fear, and it turns you into a man. So now you're with the mom, or the dad's gone or whatever. Then they run to the mom, who is not meant to be that alpha. And now they go into society and they're insecure, social anxiety, everything else. And nowadays, if you say, you're horrible, or man up, or stop being weak, now you're a bully. It's unbelievable.
And you're right about that. Children don't listen to mothers; they listen to fathers.
Yeah.
And the mother, because she doesn't have that in her to lead, she was created to follow. When the kids don't listen to them, they impose their will on the children. They try to make the children do what they want them to do. They yell at the kids, or they try to bribe the kids. So they end up spoiling the kids. And the kids become angry, just like the mother, and she recreates them in her image. And so this cycle of anger and hatred continues from generation to generation to generation. And that's what we are seeing in the streets right now. You see all the violence of the kids in the street, breaking into stores, robbing and stealing and killing and carrying on. The anger that you see in the children is that of the mother. It starts in the home, and they are yearning for their father. They have a void, an emptiness, which nothing else can fulfill. Nothing can fulfill it, but they return to the father. And so they're out there violent because that's how they've been treated in the home. And we're starting to show them, and we're doing it for 33 years now, is that they must forgive their mothers for imposing her will on them, turning them against the fathers, and love their father, forgive their fathers for not protecting them from the mother, because he couldn't help himself. And once they forgive their mothers and fathers, God will forgive them, and that void will be fulfilled. So if they ever start a family, they will pass down love to the children rather than hate. And I remember you mentioned your father. I remember once my grandfather, he wanted me to stay home and break the soil so we can plant the farm. But I wanted to go to school. I didn't want to stay home that day. And he like, no, you got to stay home and do it. So I was irritated. I was mad. And I went out, I hooked the mule up to the plow, and I told the mule to take off. And when it did, the plow ran over my foot, and it cut my foot wide open. It was bleeding. You could see the veins and everything. And I'm like, Dad, I cut my foot. And he was like, well, if you had done what I told you and not acted out, it wouldn't have happened. And he didn't. He just made me plow the field anyway.
Yep. Well, I was real good at football, and my mom would scream and yell, and my grandfather would make me catch 100 passes. So if it was 32 degrees out, he'd have me in a tank top, no shirt, a tank top, 100 passes. If it was hot out, 3 sweatshirts, 3 sweatpants. But then when I went to play, it didn't bother me. My mom would be like, "You're gonna kill him. You're gonna kill him." I'd hurt myself. Get up. It wasn't like that. And then and I'm experiencing it now, Jesse. I got a 2.5-year-old daughter, and she runs to her mom and cries and wah. But if even when her mom finally gets sick of it and says, "I'm going to tell your dad," all of a sudden, it's like that, Or if
Absolutely, man.
And then when I'm with her alone, there ain't no crying. Finish the plate. I don't care if you're 2.5. Hey, there's food on the table. Finish the plate. With mommy, they know they can get away with murder, and that goes along with everything that you're saying. And then throw in social media on top of that. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Breaking news: Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right. They are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shave your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code MSCS Media for 20% off and free shipping. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to all the stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a monster of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. No more messing around in drawers, this color one, that color one, all with one guard. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower and avoid all that hair in the sink. The Pro Kit doesn't end there, though. First, there's the beard shampoo and conditioner. You need to remember your hair is different. Next, Manscaped's beard oil. Cap it off with beard balm. The Pro Kit also comes with 3 different gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code MSCS Media at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code MSCS Media. This episode is sponsored by ZBiotics. What is ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic? The ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is a genetically engineered probiotic you drink before drinking alcohol to avoid that rough next morning and get back to living your life. PhD scientists invented it because they know the real problem is not dehydration. It's a toxic byproduct of alcohol, and ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the only product that breaks it down. Just remember to drink responsibly and plenty of rest too. Every time I have ZBiotics before drinking, I'm amazed at how good I feel the next day. ZBiotics is a must-have for me because it means I'm still going to make my daily workout even if I have a few drinks the night before. That's important to me. You can get ZBiotics for 15% off your first order using my code MSCS Media at checkout. I recommend getting the 6-pack. That's what I got. It's a great deal. You have a couple extra to share with friends. Go to zbiotics.com/MSCS Media. That's Z as in zebra, biotics, BIOTICS.com/MSCS Media. Or scan the QR code on the screen right now and get 15% off your first order that they're all hooked onto. And now you got the committee. We had this guy, Rich Cooper, and the committee is when, the husband and wife or the boyfriend and girlfriend, they get in an argument. The woman goes to the mom, the brother, the sister, the 7 weirdo friends, and they all say, oh, he's so terrible. And now it's man versus the committee versus the government versus everything else. I don't know how other else you fix that either, man.
You're absolutely right. And, the National Center for Health Statistics says that 80% of the divorce are initiated by women today. And if we don't change, if we don't bring the woman out of the hell that she's in, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better because women are angry. They hate their mothers who turn them away from the fathers, and they would destroy the man's children just to get back at him.
Make them hate him.
And the unfortunate thing is that the courts today are on the side of the woman, even when they know she's lying. They can know that she's lying. They will still give the man children to her, and they will make the man pay child support. They will make the man, if the man go through the court and try to get visitation rights or whatever, they make the man pay for someone to represent the children or the child, and they have to pay for his lawyer. It's a mess, man. And the reason that men are so hated on earth is because men represent God. They are sons of God. Even though they've been turned away from the Father, they may be beta, but they're still sons of God, right? And so the devil, evil, working through the woman and through these men who hate their mothers and things, and so they hate their fathers. Evil understands that it must destroy the man. You destroy the man, and evil will destroy the women and children. And that's exactly what happened. But what I want men to know is that they can overcome the nature of the mother. They can overcome living in their imagination and all the emotion that they get from thoughts. I always tell them that all thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. And emotions are evil. There's real love, you cannot feel real love. That love that they're feeling is coming from anger. Because when you have anger and you're living in your imagination, the thoughts which are of evil make you feel good. And as soon as you're feeling good, then you're feeling bad. And while you're down and out, they give you a false sense of tomorrow is going to be better. And when tomorrow comes, it doesn't be better. So they back down again. But that's the mentality of a woman. That's how women think. They live in their imagination, and all of their decisions are based on emotions and lies, and that's why they never work out. But a man's mind is a logical mind. It makes decisions based on what is right, not what he think or what he feel. It's based on with the perfect love of God. And so the man has the power to overcome evil, but he got to start working on himself. He must look within so he can forgive, drop that anger. Any man that has anger is a woman. He has the nature of his mother, and that's why he acts and functions like a woman. But he can overcome it by forgiving mama. Then you will see the country start to change. If men were to change right now, let's say all of a sudden every man just changed immediately, we would have peace on earth. But because men don't understand the attack on them and what's going on, I don't see a change coming anytime soon.
Me neither. Me neither. And then
what a mess.
Man. I've never seen anything like this. I can't believe some of the stuff I'm seeing. And then like you said, I can relate to that, and we've all seen it. I've seen a woman go into court with a guy who has a full business. The woman just got out of rehab for heroin, and she got custody of the kids multiple times. I've seen it. And then said whatever about the dad, true or not, maybe yelled at the kid, who the hell knows, plus visitation rights, and the man's got to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Or they get the man locked up, and the man's got to do 5-6 years, loses touch with the kid because now she's got the kid all to herself, because they'll lock you up for anything. You know, it's it's so rigged. And as a logical man, we sit there and they go, blah, 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 and we go, okay, calm down. What's the problem? Okay, this is an easy fix. Okay, you want me to close the cabinet door? Okay, I'll close the cabinet door. Are we done now? But no, we're
Yeah,
not. But nowadays it just goes on and on and on and on.
yeah. Well, I tell the men not to argue with women.
Shit.
Just state what needs to happen, but don't argue with her because that's how she control you.
That's true.
Women get life from arguing and getting you upset. And then if that doesn't work, they'll go and bake you a cake and get and cause you to feel good. But either way, they have control of you. But if you just state what needs to be said and let her argue by herself, after 50 years she may come around and then you die, right? But
You're about right, because you know what happens if you don't say anything back. What, you're not going to talk? Oh, you're a mute. You're this. You're that. Yeah, there's nothing to talk about. You're right. About 50 years. About 50 years.
They do that to draw you in.
Yeah.
Because and when you fall for it, you argue with the devil, and you're never going to get anything done. But I want to tell you this: not only you gave it a perfect example of this guy that you knew went through the court thing, but they now have it that if a woman has a child for someone else, but you live with that woman, or if she got pregnant for someone else, and it's not even your baby, and you prove that it's not your baby, they still make the man pay for this child that's not even his. The court will still take the side of the woman.
The world is
what
over,
a
Tommy.
mess.
Wow, I didn't know that. Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, but
I've heard ministers like that.
Whoa. And with all this divide, remember, I'm Italian. One of my best friends was black. We'd have him over for Sunday dinners all the time. Nobody looked weird at nobody, which leads me to, we had Brandon Tatum in, who NFL, actually from the hood, NFL, cop, which cops, hood, cop, that usually doesn't go along together too good. And he said probably one time in my entire life, I would say I was, in a situation where I was being, where somebody was being racist toward him. One time. And this is a guy who goes from the hood of the hood to the NFL to cop to now a podcaster. One time. Which leads me to your book. And I'll tell you what, the cover of your book is it looks powerful, man. The cover with you sitting on the chair with the leg crossed.
Yeah. The Antidote.
Yeah.
Healing America from the poison of hate, blame, and victimhood.
Yeah, we have it up here. We have it up here. You get it on Amazon.
Yeah, the people can get it on my website, rebuildingthemand.com/stores.
Okay, we'll have that right in the description. But tell me about this book. I love it. And this one has stuck out to me. And again, that cover's killer. Whoever did that, you should give them a tip.
Oh, yeah, they did an amazing job. The Antidote is about people like Barack Obama, the father Messiah, Jesse Jackson, Louis Farrakhan, Al Sharpton, all these, and other things too. But it's about what happens when you don't have a father. And one thing that Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama, and others had in common is that they didn't have fathers. They did not have fathers to raise them. As a matter of fact, Louis Farrakhan's mother told him that if she had wanted to abort him using a clothes hanger. And so that just sounds like mother's love to me, right? But these people, Barack Obama and all these guys, they didn't have fathers. So that's why they don't know how to lead people in the right way, because they too are angry and emotional. They think and feel and act like a woman, and they have hatred in their hearts. And so they're using the blacks to try to make themselves feel better by having this false idea of power and wealth. And if you notice, they won't let the word racism disappear, even though there's no such thing as racism, but they're using that word in order to keep the blacks angry and overreacting and to keep the races divided, because the word racism pays off for them right now. And it's out of control today. Even though it doesn't exist, it's out of control. And Brandon Tatum is absolutely right. A good guy, by the way.
Great guy.
And
guy.
A good example, too, for all people, especially the blacks. But they hate him because he's standing up for what is right.
I
And he's
respect him
not
for that.
blaming someone
He
else.
sat here 3 hours and just was the coolest guy and stuck to
Yeah.
what he believed in. And at some points, as me, I was like, "Oh boy, they don't like you," you know. But he says
Yeah.
it the way it is, and he's not lying. He's just speaking the truth, you know.
Yeah. And that's what is needed in our country, period, but especially in the Black community, because the Blacks have heard lie over lie over lie over lie, nothing but lies for the last 70 years. They have been told that they're suffering due to racism or slavery or Jim Crow or the lack of opportunity, all kinds of things, man. And it's just not true at all. And so when a person like Brandon come along, or Jesse Clarence Thomas
Yeah.
and other Black folks who are not blaming others, the liberal Blacks and the media want to keep those people in the background, because the last thing they want is for Black people to know that this is America, the greatest country on this side of heaven, and it's up to you to make a life for yourself. No one can stop you if you want to do it. They want to keep the people divided. They want to keep the Blacks down for personal gain. They have no love for the Blacks at all. And that's why I wrote the Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood, because we're trying to wake up the Blacks, is that our battle, human beings' battle, is a spiritual battle. It has nothing to do with male or female. It has nothing to do with color, but everything to do with the lack of right kind of parents to guide you and the inability to be an individual and think and do for themselves. Most Black people are afraid to be individuals now. They don't. They think as groups. They think of into their Blackness. They don't think about being an individual and treating people the way that they would like to be treated.
And the description's great too. You call it fool's gold. I was laughing.
Right.
He called it fool's gold. And
it's amazing, man.
I'm not just doing this because you're on. I just think it's awesome. The book, The Scam, that is great, man. Because every time I turn on American Greed, and I'll see this guy in Chicago, and he's gonna fix the hood, and he's buying houses. Next thing you know, this guy's pocketing, $400 million that was supposed to go help out Black communities, and then you got the guys, and it's making the Blacks just look terrible. Then you got the guys, buying rehabs, and then they're having them go be hookers to stay at the rehabs while they're doing drugs. And I'm from North Philly, and it got so bad with exactly what you're saying in North Philly, because they kept feeding them money. So then, and I was friends with a lot of them. Like, I could go in there. The cops wouldn't even go in there, but I had known them since I was a kid. So I could go in, and you would go in, and you would see a 9-year-old, Jesse, with an AK, looking out. And again, not that I'm anything great. I just knew, I knew their dad.
True.
I knew their dad and everything, so I didn't get shot, But the reason why they never got out of there was because they brainwashed them and pretty much suppressed them in there, and then said to the cops, hey, don't even go into North Philly. Just let them do your thing. You're going to get killed, which they probably would have gotten killed. But now you're letting them run what they want. The government gives you the money. And who's the government that does it? The Democrats. So they get the votes. Yeah. So now these guys in there, and this goes all around, they don't really know what's going on. They just see a free paycheck. How am I going to get my milk? How am I going to get this? Talk a little bit about the book, The Scam, because it's really good, man.
Scam is how the Black leadership is exploiting Black Americans. I can't tell you the number of riots in LA and other places that the Blacks have carried out, encouraged by the leaders and all other kind of stuff. And then they bring in they go back and say, oh, we need programs. We need money for this program or money for that program. And when they get the money ends up in the pockets of the Black so-called leaders rather than the people. I remember that female Maxine Waters.
Oh, jeez.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, you ain't lying about her, but
with the low IQ, I have her and the Scam as well.
Yeah, I know.
The book Scam.
She's a vicious one.
She was dancing in the streets with the gang member. No justice, no peace. no justice, no peace, giving this false idea that the police was the problem, right? And they poured in a lot of money into South Central LA and those kind of places. The place is still screwed up.
No.
Years have gone by. They have had other riots and that. And it has not got better. But this woman is living in $1 million, $3 million, some $4 million home.
Cartier, Rolex, diamonds.
Right. Her family doing well. They live in Howard Hall. And I remember her telling the black at one of those town hall meetings, she told the black people the Republican Party want to tear down the projects. And she named all the projects. But I'm not going to let them tear down the projects. And not only will I not allow them to tear down the projects, I'm going to build new projects for you. I'm going to build you some more. And the blacks applauded. Praise the Lord. Amen. I'm like, are you crazy?
Meanwhile, she's building her mansion. Is what she's really doing.
Right. I'm like, are you serious? It's crazy, man. I am so grateful that I grew up in the way that I was raised.
Me too.
I grew up in Alabama. I grew up with parents that was tough, and they loved you in the right way. And they taught us that how to work and take care of ourselves, and whether we want to have our own business or work for someone. They taught us to buy land. If we want to, buy a house, buy a piece of land. And when I moved to LA at 18, I went through some tough situations, but there was nothing in me that ever wanted to give up, go back home, stay with mama, or any of that stuff, man. I was taught to overcome rather than to give into the stuff. And I'm grateful because we don't have that in America anymore for the most part. And as a result, we're losing our country for sure.
Me too. I'm grateful I got a few beatings and, I didn't get anything given and had to work. And that was the end of it. And I used to fly out to LA all the time from Pennsylvania to watch Kobe Bryant. Not just because I liked Kobe Bryant, but just because he never gave up. I'd see him miss one shot. He played 40 minutes, miss one shot. We go up to the Lexus box to have dinner. He would be the only guy on the floor. This is Kobe Bryant in his prime, shooting that same shot for 4 hours, like a guy with the drive. He had somebody there that was pushing his ass when he was young because he didn't have all the talent in the world. So and that's why he was my favorite because I just saw him hungry. Down 80, still hungry. And that's just not there anymore.
It's gone, man. It's gone. It's gone. They have lied and told the people they can't make it because of police brutality or racism, all the crap that's not true. And another thing they have done to the blacks that is bad, and to the women, is that they have made them feel like victims. And now it's at a point where the blacks and women don't even have to earn their way. They let them in without even requiring that they are qualified. And so as a result of letting these people in without demanding that they are qualified, the country is just the service and everything in the country is going out into hell. It's just bad everywhere. I just never imagined that one day you could fly, get on an airplane, and you could possibly have pilots on the plane that have no idea what they're doing. And they're there only because they're a woman or because they're black. That's putting everybody's lives at risk. But the leadership don't care. They just want power and wealth for themselves. They don't care about our life. They don't care about these women and the blacks. It's all about themselves. It's just so unfortunate. We are now South Africa. Yeah. And the blacks the whites gave South Africa over to the blacks because they were accused of being racist and all the same crap. And so the white people said to the blacks, okay, y'all can have everything. We're going to move out on the farmland. We're going to let you have it. Yeah, everything else. And lo and behold, it's a mess. It's so bad that the blacks are now going out to the farmlands and attacking the whites out there, breaking into their home, raping their women, robbing them along the roadside, all kind of stuff. And that's what's happening in America. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse because white people have fear. They won't speak up. They won't say no. And anytime you don't say no to spoiled children, they will end up destroying you
Yeah.
because they're not capable of doing it for themselves.
And if you say no and you speak up, then they're the victim. You're abusive. You're bullying. That's what I mean. I don't know how you get out of it. You know, if somebody says Jesse's racist or I'm right, what are you talking about? Like over what? But you speak up or you say something or you try to discipline somebody that you see potential in or that you can help. You know, because of all this, I can't wait to hear what you say. How about all this shit where everybody gets a trophy? Everybody gets a trophy, so everybody's equal. Just like you said on the airplane. You got to have a woman does not know how to fly the plane. You got to have a black guy that didn't get his hours in, and you got one white guy, which you had a video on that you know, a lot of white people, they're like Steve Jobs. He made the iPhone, stuff like this. Episode is brought to you by Fiji. More than just water.
This is not just rock. It's ancient volcanic rock that filters tropical rain, giving it double the electrolytes and its signature soft, smooth taste. It's not just water. It's Fiji water.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked. Are you the man your father was? Recent studies have shown that men's testosterone levels have dropped substantially since the 1980s at about an average of 1% per year. Think about how old your father was when he was born. For example, if he was 30, your testosterone levels could be 30% lower than his. Low testosterone levels can have all types of health effects on men. It can affect your mood, sex drive, memory, muscle mass loss, you name it. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but it can affect men at any age. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCS Media and get 25% off your test using the code MSCS Media. The link is in the description at the top. That, you know, then you got the one white guy that might know how to fly, but you got to keep it equal. You know, but if you say anything like, hey, the black guy doesn't know what he's doing, you're a racist. But that, like, I would say that to white, black, Spanish, purple, green, blue. But if we say that nowadays, we're hit. How do you get out of that?
You got to overcome fear. You must overcome fear. You must love what's right with all your heart, soul, and might. You must love God, put God first, so that when you overcome anger, you will overcome fear. If you didn't have anger, you would never have fear. And so if you don't have fear, you have the right relationship with what is right. And in that, you're not afraid of losing anything. You're not afraid of losing anything. And if you're not afraid of losing anything, you have no problem speaking up. But we got to overcome the fear. And white people are afraid to speak up because they don't want to be called racist, because they don't want to lose their reputation. Reputation doesn't mean anything if you have fear. They don't want to lose their livelihood. Livelihood means nothing if you have fear. You're lost already, no matter what kind of job you have, right? But they got to overcome the fear. Fear is not of God. And if they overcome the fear, they would see that the Father would take care of them. God will make a way. When one door closes, another will open. But America would still be great if they didn't have the fear. It's abnormal for human beings to have fear, but that's what's going on right now. They have taught the people that anger is love. You should have anger. There's nothing wrong with having anger. And everyone who has anger has fear, and it's prevent you from speaking up because you're afraid of losing something. Yeah. And you got to overcome the fear.
That's a great point.
That's why men don't speak up to women, because they are afraid to speak up to mama. Their mama made them feel guilty if you speak up, or if you yell at them, smack them down. And so they resent the mother. And every woman they get involved with is just like mama. It's the same spirit. And so the man become the boy, and the woman become his mother. And it just repeats itself because he doesn't have he has fear. He can't speak up to mama.
That's true. And then that same man then is looking for his partner to be his mom.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh,
And then the woman hated for being mama. She would be mama to you, but she would hate you for it. Because women hate weak men. They have a love-hate for weak men. They love for you to be weak so that they can control you, but they hate it when you're weak because they need a man to help them overcome their hell that's in them. So they have a love and hate relationship for the man.
And then I watched another one that I wasn't aware of this either until you. Black women have 5 times more abortions than white women?
Black women have abortions like 90 going north. I mean,
wow.
They because they don't have a man there to protect them.
Yeah.
And they have been convinced that they need to have a career. They need to be educated. They need this and that. And so they're Planned Parenthood and others. They've seduced the black women to have abortions as name. And the black woman does not realize that Planned Parenthood making money off the abortion. They're making money off killing the black children. And it's not like they love the black woman. They're just using them for personal gain. Everyone who has anger is using someone. They don't have love. They use somebody because they want something from it, a good feeling or money or something. And so they just pretend to love you when they really don't love you. They hate you.
I see. So they purposely they purposely go after the black woman who they know may be in a bad position. They pull in that Planned Parenthood BS, and then they put in her head if she has a kid, which, you know, she can't have a big career, and boom, 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 boom. Meanwhile, whoever's involved in Planned Parenthood, the list probably is a mile long, they're in the mansions too.
Yes, making buku money.
Unbelievable.
And Planned Parenthood, I write about it in my books, was started by a woman by the name of Margaret Sanger, everyone know now. And abortion was set up for black people. It was never really meant for the whites, right? For white women to have abortion. But it was meant to stop black people from having babies, because in the South during the time of Margaret Sanger, too many black women were having babies. And she said that. And so she wanted to commit a genocide upon the blacks, and she did it by way of abortion. And what she did was, she wanted to shut the black preachers up about it. So she created the Margaret Sanger Award. And I believe the first one they gave, I might be wrong about this, the first award they gave was Martin Luther King Jr. He was a loudmouth at the time.
Yeah.
And they gave it to him, and he stopped talking about abortion being wrong and all that kind of stuff, if he ever talked about it. And so it was never meant for anyone. It was just meant for the blacks. And so they're still carrying out this genocide upon black babies that was started years ago by Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood.
What the hell? I mean,
what the?
Yeah, I'm sorry, man, but what the heck? And then I don't know which book it was, but about Nelson Mandela. I thought he was evil too. To me, and correct me if I'm wrong, he had blah, 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 blah. All he wanted to do, it seemed to me, was divide more. To
he was no different than Barack Obama and Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King Jr. and all those people. They're the same. Nelson Mandela was a communist, a Marxist. He never cared about the people. It was about dividing and conquering. It was about controlling the people. But the media and the so-called black civil rights and others pretended that Nelson Mandela was a hero. He was the guy, but he wasn't. He was the enemy of black Americans.
That's what it seemed like to me.
I mean, a black in Africa and in America, he was never a friend. He was a socialist. He was a communist, just as the blacks are today.
And you think they put him up on the pedestal because it goes with their agenda?
100%.
Jeez.
This is why I keep warning the people that you got to become your own man.
Yeah.
You got to become your own woman so you can think for yourself. Don't believe it just because someone said it. You need to know for yourself if it's true or not. And even God said, let no man, no human being teach you. But you have a spirit of the Father, the Holy Spirit, he will teach you all things. but they're teaching these people, and they're giving them all the raw information in order to control them, not to set them free.
Man, a lot of to me it's funny, but a lot of the viral TikToks is when you have somebody on and you just bury them because they're wrong. Now when you have that, right, do you know that they're wrong coming in, or is it after you talk to them you realize you don't know it and they actually walk off instead of just saying, "Hey, I'm wrong," like a man would do. "Okay, I'm wrong. Hey, Mr. Peterson, could you explain to me why I'm wrong?" They get up and walk off the show like little babies. Like now,
Right.
do you know this? Do you know that they're wrong, or is it during it where you're like, no?
It's during the conversation. I try not to know too much about the person. I know the name of the organization or
Right.
where they come from, what they do, so I can introduce them. But I like to just have the conversation, and during the conversation, I can see for myself where they are coming from. And then that's when the real discussion happened. And I noticed that and I'm not trying to make them run off. I'm not trying to make them feel anything. I really want them to see for themselves that they have no clue as to what they're talking about. But instead, most of them get angry and they run off or they act out. But my desire is to wake up people. I want them to see. And once they see that they can't be controlled by anyone or anything, but most people are not ready to wake up. They love the lie. They love to believe lies. They hate the truth. And they love living in their hell. They love their misery. And they don't want anybody to take the misery away from them. They don't want anyone to show them how to overcome it. And so in my discussion, I try to show them how to overcome that misery so that they can see and become an individual again. But most people overreact to that.
And you're not mean to them. I watched them. You're not mean to them. You're just having a normal conversation, but they don't want to hear it, or they don't like it, or they have their own thought. Right. And they just get up and walk out. Now, me or you, I think I would sit there and have a debate, right? Like, prove me wrong. Let's go back and forth. And at the end of the day, we have a conclusion. These little babies get up and run, and like you can't take a little bit of a devil's advocate thing. It's just it's unbelievable.
As a matter of fact, I like a real debate because I want to see if I'm wrong or not. If I'm wrong, okay, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, right?
How do you learn any other way? How do you learn?
Right. That's right. I don't mind admitting that I'm wrong. And you will find a few people like that don't mind admitting that they're wrong. They want to know the truth. But most people don't want it. They don't want to know the truth. They want to believe the lie. And they don't want you to even disagree with them about the lie. They can't handle it. But that's what made America great. The freedom of speech, good debates. I hated one another after the debate, but that's gone too. It's just everybody's so emotional and they're so overreaction because they don't want what's right. They're about themselves, they're about the ego, and they can care less about what is truly right and what will make the country better so that we can once again become one nation under God for all. It's sad, man. It's gone. This is not my America. It's not the country I grew up in. I want my country back. This is not it.
I don't understand, because nowadays, if you say the sky is blue, Mr. Peterson, me and you are looking, and the sky is blue. But one of these, like, this generation, if they went on TikTok and it said it was purple, they will sit there for an hour and say, no, it's purple. And Mr. Peterson, we're like, it's blue. And they will go on. They just do not want to be wrong.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I've discovered about life, and it's amazing, never, ever, 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 but never, never, never argue with a person. You just state the point, you put the information out there, but never try to make them see, never try to convince them, because you cannot convince anyone that is wrong, that they are wrong. They don't want to be convinced. And so when you start arguing, trying to prove something, first of all, it shows that you don't really believe what you believe, right? And it shows that you're judging them because they don't see the truth. You just put it out there. If they want to see it, fine. If they don't, fine. But it's just two devils arguing, and both devils want to be right. So I never argue with anyone about anything.
And do you think this, in one way or another, resorts back to what we were talking about earlier with the broken home, you know, the support for the women? Do you think it all circles back to that base most times?
100%. It starts in the home first. It doesn't start out there. It starts in the home first. And when you don't have a father in that home that is leading the wife, the mother of the children, the wife, and the children the right way to go, you're going to end up what we have today, because there's no love. We need love, and women don't have love. The love comes from the Father, which comes from God. Women receive love, they don't have love. And the children and the father are trying to get the love from the woman. She doesn't have it yet to give. She is looking for it from her husband. Real love, not anger, not sex, but real love. The love that does not judge, the love that is patient, the love that is kind. It leads. It doesn't think of itself, but it think of others, right? That's what's needed in the family again. It used to be that way, but it's not that way anymore.
And they avoid it in the media because Big Pharma is paying for the commercials. So they want this. They want you to be mentally unstable. So they pill you up with this. They pill you up with that. When really, all of this, all like you said, like the break-ins in New York, this, that, the other, everything, it all goes back to that home. And they never talk about it. Never talk about it.
They don't want to restore the family. They don't want the man to be the head. They don't. Because if the man was the head of his family, they could not take control of the women and children, because the protection would come from the man, and they couldn't get in there. I remember when women were that obeyed their husband, those that got married, they would vote whichever way the husband voted, if they voted at all, but they would vote the way the husband voted. That's gone now, because the women don't obey their husband. They don't like the man. They want to be equal to the man, which will never happen, by the way. Telling a woman that she could be equal to a man is like telling a man in a dress that he's a woman.
Yeah.
He can never be a woman.
Your head's got to be popping off. Because, you know, you've been through it all, man. When they started doing the sex changes and all that, your head must have went 10 miles down the road. You probably had to go back and pick up your head after you saw that coming out. I'm
like, what? It's amazing that you can convince another human being, a male or a female, that she or he is not a female or a male. You can tell them that, and they'll believe it.
I don't know.
They'll say, okay, you can wear a dress out in the public. And they'll say, okay, and you better not disagree with it. If you disagree with it, you're the bad guy, and the man is dressed as the same guy, right? Yeah. I'm like, this doesn't work. Like,
you better support it, or you're done for, or you're bullying. You're bullying if you don't support it.
And then they start fighting for civil rights for the man in the dress. Let me ask, what do you think about men in dresses playing women's sport?
I think that's absolutely insane. There's no, I don't care how many hormones you take. I don't care what you do. You can't compare a physical DNA, whatever you want to call it, genes to a male or female. And it's unfair, especially in the women's sports. Like, you know, you're going to bring a male in to swimming, NBA football, or a female that wants to be a male. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, insane. Yeah. I never thought in 1,000 gazillion years I'd even see it with the swimming thing. These girls work their butt off, and then they come in with, and again, you can give that person all the testosterone or they want, or not take it off, or give them estrogen. You cannot compare a male to a woman. There's no comparison, especially in athletics. Our grandpas would be rolling over in our grave. If my grandpa was alive and saw this, he would have a lot more than a 12-pack every night.
I'm telling you, Grandpa tell me about the good old days.
Yeah.
I have to honestly tell you, I have no issue with it at all. I'm totally fine with it. You know why?
No.
Because women are trying to get into men's sport, they're interfering with men's activity, and they're trying to destroy the man's sport by wanting to be a part of it. I remember, and they call the man misogynist and hate women if men want to do their own sport, like in karate and judo and all that kind of stuff. The women want to fight with the man. I'm like, you can't do that because the man will have to weaken himself and pretend that you're stronger. But they don't care about that. And I remember when women wanted to be sports announcers for men's sport, right? And then they fought for that, and the men were like, no, 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 no. And they fought for it, and they finally got it. And then the women started going into the locker rooms where the men would, be in, men talking when they're in the locker room. And they would go in there, and the woman would get upset. Oh, he said all kind of nasty things. He would have grabbed the woman VJ and all that kind of stuff, right? But that's how men talk. And so they did it with golf and everything, men club. I remember we used to have a lot of men clubs where men got together and talked about whatever they talk about, right?
Right.
And the women were upset with that. They wanted to get rid of the men clubs and things. And so I say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if they think they can interfere with men's sport, why can't a man be? If a woman can play against a man in sport, why can't a drag queen man play against a woman? It's the same thing. The man just have on a dress, but it's the same thing. If it's good for that, why can't it be good both ways? Either women are equal to men or they're not. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. You're saying let them do it because there's no other way it's going to be stopped, and that's the way it would be stopped. Am I following you right?
Yeah, I'm saying that if women believe that they can destroy men's activity by inserting themselves into that, why can't the man insert himself into women's sport?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that would end it all. That would end all.
It would stop it. That's right.
That's your point.
It would stop the crap.
You scared me for a second there.
And why did that scare you?
Because I thought at first you were thinking like it's okay for, and if you do, that's fine. For a male to go compete with a woman in swimming, but not the other way around. Like, that swimmer who worked herself to death, and then that guy came in and decided he was a woman or whatever, and then beat the brakes off all of them.
What I'm saying is, if it's not right, and it's not right, it's not good either way.
Yeah.
It's not right for women to get into men's sport, and it's not right for men to get into women's sport. And so if the country is going to pretend that it's okay for women to get into men's sport, why are they pretending that it's not okay for men to get into women's sport?
I follow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, 100%.
It's wrong both ways. And so if they recognize that now, maybe they just cut the crap out both ways and let women play women's sport and let men play men's sport. Don't allow that to happen either way.
And let's not forget, remember how long the women fought? They wanted the WNBA, they wanted this, they wanted that. They got it, and now that's not. So think of all those, women. Imagine how pissed off they are,
right.
because, they fought forever to have their own league, and now they have it, and now this thing.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Mr. Peterson.
What a mess.
Mess isn't even a word. I heard you like Amber Rose.
I really enjoyed talking to her on my show, and it was a very, very interesting discussion, especially when we were talking about slut maker, that women are, she was pushing the idea that it's okay for women to be sluts. And she even had the little slut rally thing.
I know. I was like, what the? I know.
I never thought I'd hear the day when women would say, okay, it's okay to be a slut.
Me neither.
But they're jealous of the man, so they think they're being like men. And so I had her on the show, and she said that, okay, Jess, if it's okay, if you call women sluts that sleep around with different men and that, and what do you call a man that does sleep around with a lot of women? I just said a slut maker. Because that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
a man that sleep around is a slut maker, and a woman that sleep around is a slut.
Yeah.
Because a man can't be a slut maker. I mean, a man can't be a slut. He has to be the slut maker. Because if the man didn't do it, the woman couldn't be a slut. Slut. You know what I mean?
Very good point. If the man don't do it, she can't be. Yep, there you go. That's good, man. That's a good tagline.
Amazing. So, what do you think is wrong with the blacks? What is wrong with the blacks?
I think that they've got brainwashed by social media and primarily Obama, because Obama came in and was a slick talker. He even got me. Slick talker. He could talk like nobody I've ever seen. Just like in your book, you know, he's going to Band-Aid. Well, he's going to fix this, fix that. He didn't fix anything. He just put a little.
No, he made it worse.
Yeah, 2% Band-Aid on it. And I think that's initially when he got them suckered in. Then once he had the black suckered in, at that point on, then they started getting the free stuff, the free checks. And then I think they got used to that. And then I just really think social media, I think that was the icing on the cake. And then being afraid to speak for themselves and getting content just being in, you know, North Philly, wherever, just getting content because they're getting the checks. They're getting by. It's normal to go to jail for 10 years. And I don't think they ever, you know, and I don't think they get the then opportunity to see what they really could do or could be, because the government is so involved that they keep them suppressed in like a little box. And whenever they come out, they throw the racist BS. And now they're coming to the white man or the Spanish man or whoever it may be, and they already have this stigma. They already have a preconceived notion of the white guy or whatever it may be. And I think that's, in my opinion, that's the issue. And that's why, like you were saying, guys like Brandon, more guys like him need to be on that social media that they're stuck on,
right,
to come out, and more guys like you that just speak calmly and make good points that you can't deny. It's factual.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right about that. And it started before that with the civil rights movement and even before that a little bit. But Obama, when Obama announced that he was going to run for president the first time around, I told the people, no, don't vote for Obama. This man is going to make it worse. He's going to turn America into a ghetto. But they voted for him anyway. The blacks voted for him because they thought he was the black messiah. And the whites voted for him because they thought that if they gave the blacks a black president, that somehow or another the blacks going to see that, maybe the white people don't hate me. Maybe the white people are not racist. But that wouldn't solve the problem. And so they voted Barack Obama in and got what we got. And I would never forget when, while Obama was in the White House, the Black Lives Matter thing, worse than the KKK, by the way, Black Lives Matter, came about. And they were chanting in the streets, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Now. Pigs in the blanket, fry them like bacon. And instead of Barack Obama rebuking them or having them arrested for that kind of stuff, he invited some of the leadership to the White House. You know, it's like an award for being stupid. And then I would remember when there was a dumb black professor out of Massachusetts where the cops thought he didn't live at some house that he was at or something like that. And Obama, without knowing what happened, exactly what happened, he said the cops acted stupidly. And then the Trayvon Martin situation, Obama said if I had a son, he would look just like Trayvon Martin. But Obama divided the races more than anyone I've ever seen in my whole life. He did not unite. He divided. And it's just been growing in that division ever since. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Because he had that slick talk, man. He had that slick talk. And then what about the kneeling at the national anthem? What in the heck is that all about? What is your opinion on that?
Anyone that kneels rather than saluting, standing up and doing it the right way, they should be deported from the USA and never allowed to come back again. because what they're saying, I don't love this country. I don't love America. I'm not putting America first. They're telling you that they are the enemy of America.
Yeah.
So why would you keep them in government or in the sports and all that, knowing that these people are enemies of America? But whites are afraid to do the right thing about that because they're afraid to be called racist. And so they get away with it. But those people who are kneeling during the national anthem and things like that, they don't love America. They hate America. They love the money they're getting, but they don't love America. And they hate white people.
That's what I was going to say. You know, when the NFL did it, you know, Colin Kaepernick and his whole thing.
Yeah. What a loser.
Jesse, what the heck? Do they not realize that $100 million contract that they got from Nike is because of America, because of that flag that you're trying to be a tough guy about? You know, the $20 million that you're getting every year is because of that flag. When you first saw that, you know, having seen everything, and plus, I mean, you're a huge figure. What was your first initial thoughts? Just that nobody wants to speak up. The manager doesn't want to speak up. The commissioner doesn't want to speak up because he doesn't want to be called racist, or he's on the take. And you know what I mean when I say on the take.
My first thought was, this is evil.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as surprised as I thought I'd probably be, but because I've been saying for the last 33 years to white folks, y'all need to speak up. You need to say to the black people that I'm not your problem. I'm not against you. You can do what you want in America, but the whites didn't speak up. And then they had the knockout games where the blacks were going around knocking white people out. And then they started going into the white businesses and robbing the stores in daylight. And nobody did anything about it. And so I'm like, look, if you don't speak up, it's only going to get worse. And so I'm not surprised it gotten to that point. And I do want to tell you, man, we haven't seen anything yet. It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse.
And Jesse,
as long as you have fear, life get worse. It doesn't get better.
I want to ask you about this because, you know, New York, for an example, they are making black people look so bad. And I have, like Brandon and I have good friends, but they are making black people look so bad. Like when they robbed all those places in New York and the people had the cameras, it was all black people robbing Louis Vuitton. What do you think? There wasn't a white guy that was doing the same thing? You know, you don't think anybody in New York but them was doing it.
What it is, what black people are leading the way to destruction. And black people are being used. Black people on earth today are not on earth to make things better. They're not here to create and improve upon things. They're here to destroy. And they're here to be used for that. If you really think about it, every social group that comes about, especially those social groups with hidden agendas, they always use the blacks in order to get what they want. They say, you're discriminating against us the way you did with the blacks. The women movement did it. The civil rights movement did it. The gay movement did it. The national anthem movement did it. Blacks are being used. When they wanted to get rid of the police, they used the blacks to get rid of the police. They encouraged them.
What in the heck was up with that? Jesse, why in the world would you defund the police? That is the most insane thing I've ever heard when they started doing that. And also to follow up on that, every time there's a shooting, why is it always a black crime or whatever? What, that's the only time that happens? Now the cop doesn't know what to do. What do I do? You know, I don't want to get sued. I don't want to be called this. What?
Well, the reason they wanted to, and they did, defund the police because they want chaos in the country.
Yeah.
They want as much confusion as possible. They want to keep the people fighting one another, afraid, and all that. So they create this mess in order to control the people. And while the people are arguing over racism and over stupid stuff, the government is taking away our right to speak, our Second Amendment. They're taking away the Constitution from us because the intention is fighting one another, and you're not paying attention to what's happening up here. You're not paying attention to know that they're making up this stuff in order to control you, to take away your right. This country is becoming a socialist, communist country.
Yeah.
And that's what communism is all about. It's about control. And they're doing it. That's why they're letting all the illegals come in.
Nuts.
Because they want as much chaos and confusion as possible. They want crime out of control. And they want to take away your Second Amendment so you can't protect yourself, but be in fear. As long as you're acting that way, they have you. They got you. And that's what's happening in my country today. And if the people don't wake, like I said, it's going to get better because most people are not going to wake up anyway. But it's all about control. And the way you do it, keep people angry and afraid and fighting one another. And while they're doing that, with the support of the media, you can take away all their rights. And you got them.
Yep. Look here while we do this. Have you had Yonomi Parker on your show yet?
Who?
Yonomi Parker. She escaped from North Korea. You got to have her.
That black, that woman.
North Korea woman.
I don't want. No, I haven't had her on yet.
Oh, you got to have her on. I had her on. She said, I left, I escaped from North Korea. I was raped on the way. My mom was raped on the way. And now I'm in America, and I'm seeing exactly what I ran from here.
Yeah. I've definitely spoken to men and women who escaped communism and socialism, and they came here expecting things to be better because they never expected that anyone would want to just give up their freedom. And, I often wonder, what would they do now? The people who came from a socialist society into a capitalist free society, I wonder, what do you do after you see this country falling apart? Do you go back home? What happens when you see it becoming in the same manner that the country is that you left? You're right about that. I hear that a lot. I'll have my producer look her up and see what we can do to get her on.
Yeah, I'll give her info. She'd be great for your show. Great for your show.
Nice. I got to ask you this because we've run out of time. May I ask you this?
Yeah.
Because I got to end at the top of this hour. I have another appointment.
No problem.
So one of the hosts of this network that I'm on, the Hate Report, HAKE Report. I used to think that Italians were Italians. I didn't think of them as being white. And so I had a discussion with Hake of the hatereport.com. He said that, I think he told me that Italians are considered white. Is that true?
Well, believe it or not, in America they are. But if you go to Italy, everyone in Italy knows that Italian people have African American in them. Really? Fact.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, really a fact. Now here you'll hear like,
what the?
No, really. No, but here you'll hear like, because again, like Italian guys in South Philly, we could joke with the black guys just like two other black guys, like say things that they would call racist, but really you're just saying, hey, what's up, buddy? But but real Italians, yeah, we have, that's why you have some Italians that are like almost your color. And then you have ones that are like mid-level, and then you have like just depending on where they come from. So no, I don't because I could tell you right now that I don't know anyone in my family, and nothing against anything, but they were raised like, Italy's poor as can be. You got 5 people in one house. Oh yeah, you got 5-10 people in one house. Everybody's working, just trying to get out of there. Just trying to make a life. Yeah, my grandfather worked 3 jobs.
That's amazing. Before I heard that about them being white, whenever I thought of an Italian, because I didn't grow up around any down in Alabama there, I would only think of spaghettis and meatballs. I never thought of them as being black nor white.
Yeah,
I would think of it, and so I'm being told that they were mixed with the Moors. What do you know anything about that?
No, I don't know about that one.
I don't even know. What's the Moors?
Yeah, what is the Moors? I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
Oh, the Moors, they were like, Arab black Africans back in the day.
Ah, see, I told you.
Back in the day, black Arabs.
Oh.
African Arabs. mixed with the Italians.
See, that's something in there.
What a mess!
What a mess. Last thing,
Amazing.
because I know you got to go. Your other book, 7 Guaranteed Steps to Spiritual Family and Financial Success. I think that's important.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe
That's
this.
a little pocket guide.
Yeah, the little
And
pocket. Yeah. Give me
and
one
I
or
wanna
two of them
encour-
quick.
I want to encourage men to start their own businesses. A man you should work for other two of you. You know, everybody don't want to have a business, but make sure you use your money wisely. But a lot of men want to start their own businesses, and in the 7 guaranteed steps to spiritual family and financial success, I tell them how to keep it simple, because the experts, who are losers, by the way, don't know what they're talking about. They make
Agreed.
it seem difficult. They tell you need to have a 5-year plan. You need to borrow money from the bank. You need to
that's a
do
great
this.
idea.
You need to do that.
Yeah.
But if you just take the little steps one at a time, and be grateful for what you have, you will be amazed how your company will build itself, really. And don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't try to be like anyone else in your business. Just be you. Give the best service you can. Have a good attitude, and you cannot go wrong. And so what we did was I started in my nonprofit organization, B.O.N.D, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny. We're rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man.
That was in 1990 you started that, right?
Yeah, 1990.
Oh.
We've been around 34 years now.
Congratulations.
And so, thank you. I started an entrepreneur program where we were teaching young men how to start their own businesses. And some of the guys, young and older, to be honest, and some of the guys didn't have the money to finance the business and to get it going. So we started a credit union so we can loan them the money with low interest rate. And that way, when they can put it back so we can keep the credit union going. But men, I was taught, to just be independent. You know what I'm saying? Buy yourself a house. If you work for somebody else, always save 10% of your money and live off the rest. Pay your rent, buy some gas, buy food, but put 10% away as an investment purposes. And to always buy land, because you cannot go wrong with your own land. There's so much more you can do with a house or just land, right? And so we're teaching the guys how to do that. And that's what the 7 guaranteed step to spiritual family and financial success guide is all about.
That's great. And I have all your Instagram, Twitter, website, all your books, everything. Great conversation. Whenever you have more time, we got to finish up. Great conversation.
Absolutely.
It
was amazing meeting you, man. And it's good to talk to you. I enjoyed it very much.
Hey, amazing to meet you too as well. Keep swinging at him. Keep swinging at him. But, I got a lot of friends, keep going. For whatever it's worth, they're proud of what you're doing and what you're saying and speaking out. And thank you for your time. Awesome conversation. We'll have all this up. Everything's great. I didn't even get to really get into the scam book, but whenever you have time, we'll jump on again.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me on. And we definitely have to do it again. And I do appreciate it.
100%. And your engineer, tell him I said thank you for. He's very kind. Thank him as well.
That's the anchor. He's known as the anchor baby.
He's the anchor baby?
Yeah, he's the anchor baby. And he has his own show too on this network, the Anchor Baby Show.
Anchor Baby
at
Show?
12 noon Pacific time. You know what an anchor baby is?
That one I don't know.
You know how the Mexicans, they get pregnant on the other side of the border?
Yeah.
And then just when it's time to drop the baby on the land, they jump across the border and they drop the baby and they jump back across. They leave the baby so they can become citizens.
Mother effers. Well, what's the show? That Anchor Baby? We'll put that in the description too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the Anchor Baby Show at 12 noon Pacific time.
Great.
Monday through Friday.
All right. Hey, I support both you guys. Thank you. I'll keep watching. And, I again, support everything you're doing, man. You're awesome.
Thank you, buddy. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Thank you, sir. This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy. This episode is sponsored by Aurora. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is? For years, this crime rate has been surging and affecting millions of Americans. I'm talking about identity theft, and there's a new victim every 14 seconds. Yet despite this, those who have had their identity stolen are often shocked when it happens. That's why I'm excited to partner with Aurora, who is sponsoring this video. Aurora is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software all into one easy-to-use app. Their VPN allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. Protect you and your family from America's fastest growing crime. Try Aurora for free for 2 weeks and see if you or anyone in your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial today. Go to aurora.com/MSCS. The link is in the description below.